Hey everybody, Midwest Warrior here with the Freemote community. Just want to share something with you guys. I was working on the fourth project that Aaron and Jan had just put up. This is the middle of, no, I'm sorry, near the end of the year 2021, October 2021. And so we have the Max Strong landing page. Now what I've done, created after I worked on this project, and I only have the first half done, I have the mobile done, I need to work on the rest of it. But it occurred to me to go look back through the Figma file and try and figure out some of the figure out a few things to help me better understand the layout, because I feel like I've been guided through it but never given an overview of it. So here we've got the Freemote project number 4, landing page simplified. So what we have here is we have section 1 is directly underneath that heading, underneath that title here. We have the first section, then below it the second section, middle column, top is third, then bottom is fourth, and then the very last one on the right is the fifth. So let's take a look at the first and the fifth. You'll notice that both of them have what's called a header H2. Now that's different than any of the other H2s that you'll find in here, because that is the header at the beginning of the page, and it's the header at the beginning of the last section. It's the same thing. Now when you look through the Figma files, you will notice that there are three different qualities. There's the font size, there's the line height, and there's the font weight. And we're going to get into those here in a minute. But when you go through those, when you're going through the project here, you'll probably come across a few of those things and thought, you know, that looks awfully familiar. I wonder where I could reuse that. So what I've done is I've broken this down into the 5 sections like we had before. We have the header at the very top, and then in the first section we have an image, then an H1 and a P, a paragraph, and then a button. That's our first section, and that again, as Aaron had said before, can be reused throughout the whole project. The second portion of it starts with an image, then an H2, and then a paragraph, not a button. I made a mistake here. So it's a button in the first section, not a button in the second section, but rather a paragraph. Then we go to the third section, and then this is slightly switched around here. We have the image near the end above the button. Well, we start out with an H2 and then an H5. This is the guy's name, and then the H5 is his qualifications. He's 35 years old and 10 years of experience, if I recall correctly. And then after that, we have a paragraph that goes into detail there, and then the button at the image, and then the button. And that image was a 2-part. That was the PNG with the clear background of the guy, and then a gradient, a linear gradient, if I recall correctly. And then the fourth section, we have an H2 leading it out. And then we have 4 sections that all have their own box borders and everything like that, background color. And these are H4s with a P. So you have an H4 header, and then you have a paragraph right with it. And then the next one, next one, next one. Then in the last section, again, we start that header with the same exact information as the very first one, so you can just copy and paste it. And then that section starts out, then the last section here starts out with another H2, something about keeping contact, or the menu or something such. I don't recall offhand. But then you have menu items like home, about us, contact, etc., etc. And I think I have one too many here. But then you have an email block that has some text in it, and then you have a social block which doesn't have any text in it, but for the sake of illustration of the way the whole page is laid out, this is important to have. And then the very last one is copyright. Now this is where I had actually started, was here, looking at trying to find this information, write it down, bring it all to one collective information place. And so this is what the result of that. We have the div element is either an H1, H2, H3, all through 5, a paragraph, button text, the email block title, or the copyright. And then over here you'll find next to it is the font size 64, line height for H1, font size 64, line height 75, and font weight of 500. Where it varies is it goes to bold on H2 and H4, H4 being those box titles, where you had the H4 and then you had the paragraph, both of which were in the same box. You'll also notice that these decrement, here you have 64, 48, 36, 24, 18, and then 16 as your lowest for your main text and font divs. Then after that, you have the button, email block title, and the copyright, and these are very similar. The H5, the button, and the email block title all have a size of 18 for the font, but then they vary over here in the line height, 28, 22, 24, and then one of them has the font weight that's smaller than the others. All right, I hope you guys found this to be helpful. Once I had figured this out and then put it together with the previous page, which talks about the web landing page layout. This really helped out a lot. Now I've gone back to project number 1, the code as you go, I believe it is, and I've been reworking that all day today from scratch with different elements and things like that to kind of get a better handle on it. And this second page has helped a lot in my code where I just say, hey, here's what an H1 is, and then here's the information, H2, whatever. And those, in my mind, are the rules of the game. Then I go back to the field, which is the HTML, and then I start making that work so that the strategy or the rules come into play the way I want them to be able to be successful at that. All right, I hope this helps you guys out. If it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. I'm constantly working on stuff, so hopefully I'll come up with something a little bit later on down the road that will help. And if you guys have any suggestions, comments, please let me know. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon in the community. Take care. Have a great one. Don't get too rowdy on your road to success.